Hi everyone, good to be back with you this evening. Today I'm going to be talking about people who use having Asperger's syndrome as an excuse for their behaviour. Sometimes people think people should excuse their behaviour because they have Asperger's. Well, I personally don't think that's valid, and I'm going to go into a few examples with you tonight. Okay, one example is someone with Asperger's saying, "I yell and scream. People with Asperger's are stubborn. That's what I'm like. I'm not going to change. Put up with me." But that's not right in my opinion. In my opinion, you should always try and meet the other party halfway. I mean, you shouldn't have to change yourself fully to adapt to other people, but you can't expect them to change themselves fully either. It's all about meeting halfway. I mean, why would it excuse your behaviour because you've got Asperger's? I mean, you can learn not to yell and scream. You can yell and scream and then someone says, "Look, why are you yelling?" And then you could say, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realise I'm yelling," or "I'm not yelling. Oh, I've got Asperger's. What, you have to put up with me yelling." Or they could change. They could just talk a bit quieter, just meet the people halfway, and just realise they're not always in the right because of the diagnosis. And they're not necessarily always in the wrong, but they're not always in the right. See, I try very hard not to use Asperger's syndrome as an excuse. I do use it as an explanation for my behaviour sometimes, but not an excuse. I'd like to think that I am responsible for my own behaviour. Another example is I can't meet people because I've got Asperger's, and I know meeting people is very hard for many of us. I mean, I struggle with it every day, talking to people, figuring out what to say to people. I struggle with it all the time, just like all you. But the thing is, people can meet other people. I mean, just because you've got Asperger's doesn't mean you can't meet people. There's meets for people. You could just make an effort. I mean, even if you're lower functioning, obviously it's going to be a lot harder. But for higher functioning Aspies like myself, there's heaps of things you can do to meet people. You can go to youth group, or you can get a part-time job, or study something in school, and with those you meet people, and that's a really good thing. And another one is I can't work because I have Asperger's. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people can't work, but people shouldn't just use that as an excuse and say, "I can't work because of this, because I've been labelled with this." And don't get me wrong, I know some people on the spectrum have a lot of trouble finding jobs, keeping jobs, or even getting them, or other issues come up, which means they can't work. And trust me, yeah, there is some very valid reasons why Aspies can't work a lot of the time. But for many Aspies, not all of them, they use that as an excuse because they don't want to work. They just say, "I can't work because of Asperger's." But it isn't always the case. I mean, it sometimes is, but it isn't always. And another one is I'm rude to people and I don't care, but that's okay. I've got Asperger's, I'm allowed to be rude to people, but if you're rude to people, you should just learn to accept the fact they're A, going to be rude back, B, tell you not to be rude, or C, not want to be your friend or have anything to do with you. And they don't care if you've got Asperger's. If you're rude to them, don't expect them to have to put up with it and be your friend because you've got Asperger's. I mean, a rude person is a rude person, and there's no excuse for that. There's none. I mean, you can learn to develop your behaviour and become more likeable, learn what's more socially appropriate. And I know a lot of people find it hard to determine what's rude and what isn't, but there are some people out there who are blatantly rude and then just write that off as having Asperger's, so they don't have to get punished or get the bad things from it. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people guilty of this. Many of the people I know have probably done it a little bit in their life, and I may have done it in the past, but it's certainly something I frown upon now. I'd really like to hear other people's comments on this, because I'm pretty sure I'm not alone with this, because I've heard other people comment on forums and stuff, so a comment on it will be really appreciated. Thank you.